we all know that collision detection is a thing that video games use, right? Um, and today we're gonna talk a little bit about like how some like probably last time we did like the easiest kind of collision detection, but it wasn't really collision detection, right? It was like kind of we were faking it so that we could make a thing. Um, Today we're probably doing like the easiest kind of collision detection. It's called axis aligned bounding box, or AABB detection. And basically, what that means is, flip on over here to Aspirate. I'm gonna make a new thing just to kind of like talk about what that means. We got one box, another box. I should put these in different layers. I'm realizing, so I could move them around. So we got one box, another box, and like we will find if this happens. Oh dang, you're broken. So yeah, we will be able to tell like when this happens, when part of one box is overlapping another box. My mother just texted me some profanities. Uh, I agree with it, but like I said, I don't want too much profanity in this class. I'll let that one slide, Chris. You're not over there. You're over here. But my face was covering it, I think. So that's fine. So again, we'll be able to detect like when this happens, when one box overlaps another box. This basically only works. Yeah, Mom Vanities. That's my new grindcore band. So this basically only works with rectangles, and you'll kind of see why in a moment. There are ways that we could do like circle-based, a version of this that's circle-based also. That's actually like mathematically way easier, or at least has like less steps to it because there are less little like fiddly bits. But the important thing for axis aligned collision detection is that you can't rotate your boxes. It's because if these were characters or something like that, we could y'all probably know what a bounding box is. We could like draw a character inside of here and have like their collidable area be a box also. That's fine. But for now we're just gonna use boxes because why not? The code that I'm going to show today to start with, like this algorithm, like obviously I didn't invent this algorithm or whatever, but the code was actually excerpted from this other love tutorial called by let me pull it up so I can show y'all. Yeah. This person's post on how to do this sort of stuff, which is also like very good. When I was originally designing my college class, I had them do basically this as like sort of like homework reading. So like their code, I used some of. So yeah, just give them credit. They're that whole series is very good if you want to like look at more stuff about love and things like that. Oh yeah. Nolan, camera's here now, and we're doing the demon hour lighting just because I have that set up right now. um, but yeah, I would like if you like love and wanna. I mean, I don't know if that series goes way outside the scope of like what we're doing here, but uh, yeah, I would check it out. It's cool. They do a good job of explaining a lot of this stuff also. Um, but yeah, so like when we're talking about axis aligned bounding box collision detection, it's very like verbose, right? Like that's the thing with this kind of collision detection, is that like there are lots of variables that we need, um, but like they're all sort of like built into um, like what a rectangle is, sort of, and that'll make sense in a moment, I think. Um, so I'm just gonna flip over here to kind of talk about what I'm talking about. I might now that would actually make my voice lower. Where so as we've described before, we have for a rectangle we have an x, we have a y, we have a width, we have a height, right? And so, I'm going to open a new thing. Just I could type this, but I don't want to. So, whenever we want to see if two objects are colliding, we're going to need that information from them if we're doing this kind of axis aligned bounding box thing. And we could just write that as a table, right? So like, let's assume we have two tables that are both rectangles. And so let's like write our load function, right? We could put an argument in there, but we're not going to. So we have, so for right now, I'm just going to write these directly into our code editor. I'll show you a way to like make it work within the context of like, so that you don't have to, backing up for a moment, if we were to do this sort of the way that I'm describing it right now in an actual game, it would be a nightmare, right? I'm going to be basically just hard coding in the parameters of the boxes, but trust me, there are ways to do this where you won't have to do that. So we're just going to write two tables like we did last time. I'm going to call them box 1. Box 1 equals box 1 dot x equals 50. Box 1 dot y equals 100. We could make it 50 also. I don't know. Box width box. I also can't type today apparently. Having numbers and variables always throws me off as well. But I just want to. We could call them box A and B if we wanted to. That's fine as well. I don't know. Let's just make them squares. Box 1 dot h equals 100, and then we're gonna make another box. So this is where I'm saying, like, if we were doing this like this for in a live fire situation, it would take us forever because we'd have to do one of these for every object, but we're not gonna do that. So what do we need? Box 2 dot x equals I don't know. Forget how big the screen is. I think that'll be on the screen. It should. Box 2 dot y equals 20. dot w equals, let's say, let's make it different sized. H equals. And so now we're gonna, let's put in our update function and our draw function. And now we're gonna make a function for to actually do the collision math. Let me check something. God, I have too many code editors. I'm starting with box collision. Circle collision is easier, but like I never use it. So, like you as someone who makes a lot of games with circles in them, I'm gonna make this, might maybe use circle collision far more than I do. Even though the math is way simpler. I'd say y'all should go play Nolan's game. What's the circle one called again? Sorry, I'm doing so bad at shouting people out. But all of his games got taken down from the App Store because of a new policy or something like that. Circle Stop. Thank you. I guess that one is on iOS also, right? Where the heck is this the editor that has the code on it? God, I'm so mad. It's fine. Just have too much junk on my desktop. Maybe after this I'll actually like clean that up. Here we go. God. Yeah, we're just like not thinking today. So yeah, then we're gonna make finally I'm so frustrated with everything. For those of you who weren't here at the top of class, oh cool. Yeah, it's just the Android Play Store. But yeah, Irreverent Q sure does like his circles. For those of you who weren't here at the beginning of class, I've had kind of like an emotionally draining day, just like a bunch of little annoyances with like different jobs and stuff like that, basically. And so, what I was gonna say is that we're gonna make a new function to do our collisions. Just call it sure. I never know if we could give it like box 1, box 2, I guess, for arguments. I'm gonna move this one so I can actually see. 'Cause, 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 yeah, I don't know. It does feel like that though, like that the day has just kind of ground me down. So if I'm like seem spacier than usual, which is like a lot, you know, I always seem super spacey, and but sometimes it just peaks in a way that is really disconcerting. Um, so we have to define uh, some variables for the inside of this function. I'm gonna tag them as local, which just means that like they work within this function but nowhere else. So if we just put the word local in front of it, that means that. And let's say, again, we're gonna use like really annoyingly long variable names for this just to be as descriptive as possible. So let's call this box one left equals. And then we're going to do box one dot x. And the reason why that is if we go back here and look here, we draw from the left-hand corner, right? So our x is going to be this point. And our y is going to be this point. Then local box 2 right, or sorry, box 1 right. It's going to be me like just talking a lot also and saying the wrong things. I'm going to try to backpedal as best I can. But like I have two kind of critical problems that hurts my ability to say like this kind of code, like talk through it well, which is I can't do left and right. Like I really need to think about it. But so I will think about it. But box 1 right is just box 1 dot x plus box 1 dot width. And again, why that is if we start here, this is our x point, and then we add the width to it, we end up over here. So we're on the right? So got those two. I'm trying to not click on my signal because then local box 1 top equals box 1 dot y. And again, y is up here. So we got our top taken care of. Then local box 1 dot box 1 bottom equals box 1 dot y plus box 1 dot h. So we take our y position, or not our y position, if we take our current y value of the box and add the height to it, we end up on the bottom. We end up on the bottom. Yeah, I said that y was down there. I didn't mean that. Again, this is me trying to wrestle with my horrible neurodivergent brain. And we're gonna do basically the same for box 2. I could copy this, but let's do it. Box 2 dot x, not z. Box 2 right. I guess I could do that. I feel like that would, like, for my brain, that would make me like uncode and decode stuff like even in an even weirder way. But like you could. yeah, like min max might make more sense for my brain. I'm not sure. um, that's an interesting workaround though. To my horrible brain being horrible. Let's do dot x. Let's just go with this for now though. X2 dot. I always thought that like using like left and right for it was weird. Like it will always be left and right because we can't rotate using this kind of collision detection. But like it always like a lot of people when they talk about this kind of collision detection do call things like left and right that I've seen anyway. Top equals box2.y box2.bot, not dot. Again, a horrible amount of variables. It's fine. Box2.y plus box2.h. Cool. So now we can do the actual math to check if they're overlapping. So it's just basically like a big if statement, and I'm gonna break it up into like different lines so that we don't have to write the whole thing on one line. But yeah, like there are kind of like a bunch of clauses to it, but we'll talk through it. So let's say if box 1, right. I also like never know if Lua uses camel case or not. Like I tend to, I think, but I've never really like settled on what the conventions are for Lua, like actually, because I'm not like a professional Lua programmer or anything like that. So like this is how I'm gonna write this just so that's easier to read. Like I guess we could do like, you know, like that or whatever, but this is fine. It's greater than box 2 left, and so if this is one and this is 2, if this side of 1 is greater than, meaning more, like, you know, this side is the maximum size of the screen, basically. This is the minimum. So if this side is greater than this side, or the value of where this is greater than this side, then that falls through, right? Or like, I don't know, what's the term for that? Then that like is true, right? Box 1 left is less than box 2 right. So again, using this example, this side is greater than this side, but this side is less than this side, so that, like, you know, this isn't true, right? Then that would fall. I keep on saying fall through. What I mean is, like, then that clause is true, basically, right? And box 1 dot. I keep on wanting to do dot also. That's not accurate for how we're doing this. Bottom box 2 here. So if this is again, like using this example, this is higher than this, right? Then that clause is true. Box 1 top is less than box 2 bottom. Then basically, like, you know, turn true. And like, you could do other stuff in here also. So like, you know, what we're gonna do for our next game is that we're going to basically have a thing where it's like do damage, right? If like a bullet hits you or something like that. And now we can just say true. So that way we can flip back over to another thing. So that we can actually put these boxes on screen and do something with them, right? So I'm gonna make one. Give me some colors. Give me some, like, not hex values, but like, I don't know. And while you think about colors, I'm going to. I always do W and H because it saves keystrokes, I guess. I'm one of those jerks. Not really, but like, I think it's like an aesthetic thing. Like, I like just having like 1, 1, 1, 1, right? I guess I could also do this. If I was being smart. No. So what colors are these boxes going to be? Let's make this one like a sort of a tealish, I guess. Make this one I'm thinking some kind of purple maybe, because, you know, vaporwave, I guess. Every game that I make is like just stark black and white. Oh wait, no, that's not purple, or teal. This me continuing to lose my mind. 7. This isn't going to do much yet. Yeah. Those are not terribly vaporwave, teal and purple, but that's fine. That's just me guessing. So let's make it move around with the mouse a bit. Let's just for one. Oops. Box one dot x mouse dot get x. This is like just kind of a read function that's built into Love that will, whatever we are setting this to, will become the x value of the mouse. So box dot one y equals, not minus, dot mouse dot get y, and wait for it to freak out. Now we got a little thing that does that. So now we could say, what do we call the thing? Check for collisions. Box one, box two. We could say if that is true, then we could do something. We like the simplest thing to do is like just put some text on the screen, maybe to do that. Change the color of the box. I've noticed that my my E key sometimes doubles. I don't know why. Full blue. Well, that's being weird, but oh, because I'm not drawing it also. That's why. There we go. So as you can see, as soon as it touches, and as it's over it, it keeps on being that green color, and then as soon as it moves away, it stops. Cool. So we got about 20-ish minutes left. Let's get started on our next game. So like that's just sort of like a brief primer of how what's it called? Axis-aligned bounding box collision detection works. But we can make it like we could improve it in some ways, or at least like make it more useful to us in some ways. So for our next game, it's gonna be, like I said, it's kind of gonna be a space shooter of sorts. I'm going to switch back over to this. I don't know why Love has also been interacting weird with my computer lately. It's perfectly adequate. So, a thing that I want to show you that's pretty useful is that, like, you probably, if you program a lot, you're well aware of this concept. But there's this thing in programming called a library, which is basically like um, a a set of code that someone else wrote that like does a function that might be useful to you. As I described, sort of like 2 weeks ago or something like that, uh, Love doesn't really have this concept of like objects in the way that something like JavaScript does, right? Or like C sharp, where those languages are like object oriented, which means that they they it's like a way of structuring themselves that makes it easy to make a bunch of stuff and to keep all of your data kind of like parceled together in ways that make sense. Um, Lua doesn't really have that, which like is fine. Lots of languages don't, but sometimes it like that sort of paradigm would be useful. So there have been lots of people who have written libraries that have made uh, made like kind of fake object oriented functionality for Lua. I'm going to show you one of those today. It's called Classic. It's just like, it's the simplest one I know. I've tried a few, and this is like probably my favorite. Um, so the thing is, like, the weird thing about this is that I don't know where it is on the internet anymore. Also, just like side note disclaimer sort of thing, there's like a lot of libraries on the Lua or on the Love like documentation. Let me show you that real fast. tv.org. Put this here. And like, I don't know if there's any younger folks watching this right now. Um, so like, I guess like content warning for like weird, vaguely sexual stuff. I guess a lot of the libraries in Love are named like weirdly sexual stuff. Um, so just know that going in. You're like, why is this called this? Um, and it's cause like, I don't know, people who program in for Love are out of their minds. But over here you see this thing called libraries. I just went to like wiki, libraries, and then got all these. And it's good to, I find it's useful to organize them by like what they do. Um, so like all these are for creating class architecture, which is like something that you'd do for object-oriented programming. A bunch of GUI stuff, input, networking, physics, procedurality, serialization, sound. Um, yeah, oh no, programmers are bad. Like this one, hump, is really useful, but why did you have to call it that? uh, so yeah, just know that going in. It's like that was one that I learned about like before a lot of others, and I was like, oh, that's a weird thing to call something that's just like a general purpose like utilities library. And then I was like, oh no, this is part of a larger pattern. And yes, also that, Nolan, it's bad. Oh god, why are programmers So the one that I'm going to show you today, though, is called Classic. And I don't know where to find it anymore on the internet. So I'm going to just make a pastebin link with it. Oh, God. Yes, true. God. I, I have so many questions for programmers. Um, So I'm gonna put this in the Discord also. But I'm just gonna make a paste bin link because that's easier. Syntax highlighting is Lua. Let's say never is fine. Unlisted. Yeah, so that's the library. You can just copy that into a new Lua file, and call it classic.lua, and that should be fine. So what this allows us to do is a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna get rid of all this stuff that I made. That's fine. The first thing, though, that we need to do to make it work is use a new keyword that we haven't used yet. I'm going to say love.load. Love.draw. Why you write function twice? Please do not. And function love dot. What's the other one? Update. The most important one. Not most important, but like the one that does the heavy lifting a lot of the time. Or, I mean, counterpoint, Nolan. Maybe it takes you exactly where you want to go. So, to make this work, we're going to need to import it, more or less. So I'm going to do that thing that I said. So I'm going to make a new file, call it classic.lua. And where are you? Copy this, paste it here. And to oh no. If you're in a room of programmers and you can't find the bad one, it's you. So we're gonna make this variable called object, and we're going to set it equal to this. So we're going to type require classic. Basically what this does is it imports the classic into this classic variable into this thing called object. And we're going to be coming back to this. This require keyword, what this does is it makes sure that the program, that like the main.lua has something called classic, which is right here, right? And now, so what we could do is we can make a bunch of files for our different parts of our game, kind of. So like, let's say for this game, for instance, we are going to need a player and a bullet, let's say. Let's start there. So we're gonna make a new file, and we're gonna call it player.lua. A bit of setup, not a ton, but important setup. We're going to, like, using kind of programmery terms, I guess, like instantiate the player, meaning just like make it a real thing, I guess, insofar as like main is concerned, by typing player equals object colon extend. We haven't seen this colon yet, and basically what this means is like run this function which is attached to this. So we're basically saying player is extending the object class. Don't really have to worry about what classes are. Classes are like these. So like player is kind of functionally going to be a class insofar as what we're concerned. Again, like this is all kind of like faked, but it's using a paradigm that might be familiar and useful for people who are making video games, right? So now we can, over here, and I know there's kind of like a lot of sort of back and forth, we can say require player. And what this does is probably pretty obviously, it looks and makes sure that our game has a thing called player. And we do. So now in player, let's just go here for a minute. Objects that we create using the classic framework, classic being the name of this framework that lets us use this kind of fake object-oriented structure, don't have a load function. They have a function called new, and that's just kind of like legacy ideas around like what, like whenever you make an object in an object-oriented language, usually the keyword they use is new. So rather than having a load thing, they have a load function. They have a function called new. That's usually called a constructor. It basically works the same way as load for our purposes. So we're going to say function player colon new. Player colon new. And if I could type today, that would be so cool. And again, for all of our things that aren't main, we're going to be using, or I shouldn't say that, for any function, for any script that we are using that we're treating as an object, like we have one of these at the top, we're going to be using colons for when we want to run their functions. Because that kind of makes this function belong to this object. So we're not going to fill that with anything right now. We're just going to function player colon update t. So now we're going to get into like multiple update functions, which is cool. Kind of, I mean, like player colon draw. So now basically all entities are going to be in charge of drawing themselves and like running their own logic, which is a nice way, I think, of subdividing stuff. So then, like I said, we're going to make a bullet dot lua. And same thing, up top we're going to just write bullet equals object colon extend, then function bullet colon new function bullet colon update t and function bullet colon draw. And we're going to do, here's where, like I sort of said before, there are ways that we can make our collision detection nicer. We're going to write function bullet colon check collisions. And then we're going to just give it an other object. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to look for anything that the bullet is touching. So we're kind of, rather than saying, like, rather than hard coding like object 1, object 2, object 1, object 2, object 1, object 2, etc., we're going to say self. We're going to check the like self dot x or whatever, which is going to refer to the bullets, right? The owner of this function against whatever object it's touching. And we'll talk about like how to get all that data in next time. Let's just set up our thing, set up our stuff for our enemy, because we're gonna need an enemy also. We might have multiple enemies. I don't know. We're gonna have to do basically all of the logic for this game next time if we want to stay on track. Because I think after this, I don't want to really start coding it yet because like that's a whole thing and we're basically out of time. But we could write the scaffold for it. This right equals object extend then function enemy new. We're also, for each new function, going to be putting in, like, the constructor. We're going to be putting in some, like, starting parameters, like their position and stuff like that. And yeah, so back in main, let's require all these, right? So we gotta require bullet, require player enemy. And I think that's it. So yeah, I think let's stop here because we don't want to open up a whole new can of worms in the next 5 minutes. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, sorry I'm like a little phasey and out of it. Think like talking to a mic for an hour helped a bit. So thanks for helping me relieve some stress, I guess. If you don't mind me getting like weirdly sentimental for a moment, like one of the things that was stressing me out is that like one of my bosses, maybe I shouldn't say this publicly, I don't know, like there have been people who've been like upset with me for like doing bad at the tail end of last semester, and I feel like everyone was, you know, so I don't know, it's reminding myself that like I'm not terrible at this I think helps, even though I can be phasey and stuff. That's fine. So again, hit me up on Twitter if you want. Same deal. Discord exists still. I have not done a thing with that Discord yet, so I don't know. I'll figure it out. Right now isn't that time. I've been dealing with a bunch of annoying little fiddly things with work and life and stuff like that. And yeah, if you want to drop me some money, always happy to receive money. If you found anything useful or enjoyable or want to just support what I do, help me, like, I don't know. A thing that I would also like really appreciate is if I kind of said this in one of the in a Discord that I run that I think a non-zero amount of you came from, the Strange Pack Discord, is that like give me feedback, you know, like again, this is like extremely experimental. I've never really taught in this format before, so I would love to hear like how you think it's going, what you would change, like format wise or content wise or whatever, or anything, you know, like my demeanor. Two, if you if you know someone who is like very new to programming, right? I'm especially interested in that demographic, right? Because that was kind of the impetus for starting to do this, was to try to make like more approachable programming education for a wider audience. Um, and I don't think I've quite like gotten to where I want to with that yet. But you know, if the VODs are going to be up in perpetuity, you know, subscribe to the YouTube channel because I would like a custom URL for that. That'd be rad. But like can't get one of those until um, I have 100 subscribers, which seems like nonsense because you know it's hard to get subscribers when your stuff is functionally unlisted, right? Uh, anyways, that's it for me. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe. Let me know how things are going. Feel free to like drop things that you're working on or whatever in the Discord. Would love to see like the sort of like assignment at the tail end of last week. I gave some suggestions for like changes or improvement. If you did any of those, implemented them, let me know how that worked out, and show us. So yeah, take care of yourselves. Peace.